Airports can be intimidating for most of us, but bewildering if you can't read very well. There's so much information coming at you and it's changing all the time. If you're planning on taking to the air soon, you might find this a really useful guide.
Lots of people these days book their own flights online. Then all you have to do is pack your bags and you're ready to catch your plane. Well, not quite. You really need to check the rules before you leave the home. Alison Smith is duty manager for Air Arran at Cork Airport. She explains what the rules are for checked-in baggage.
Checked-in baggage is different for every airline. With Air Arran, it's a limit of 20 kgs, and anything over the 20 kgs must be paid for at an excess baggage rate. There's no limit to the number of pieces you can carry, but no one bag can weigh more than 32 kilos for health and safety.
This case is only 10 kilos, or 10 kgs, so it's under the limit. Check the list on the airline's website and make sure you don't pack any dangerous items which are not allowed. Don't bring more than you need, and remember that some airlines now charge for each piece of baggage you check in.
Hand luggage is usually one piece per passenger. It cannot contain any sharp or dangerous items such as scissors, knitting needles, that sort of stuff. With the new security regulations, any liquids over 100 mils must be put in your checked baggage. Any liquids under 100 mils can be put into a transparent resealable bag. Now, there are exceptions for medicine, baby food, milk, that sort of thing, but it must be presented at security. If it is medicine that you must have on board for the flight, you would need to have a doctor's letter as well, but do check with the individual airlines as to their policy.
So what documents do you need to bring?
Well, depending on where you're travelling to, with ourselves, if you're travelling to Dublin, you would need either your reference number or some form of photo identification. But if you're travelling further into Europe, you may be required to have your passport. So you would need to check with the individual airline as to which form of documentation you need. If it's an internet booking, usually you need just your reference number, but in some cases you will need an actual paper ticket, so to be sure that you have all that with you as well.
When you've got everything packed, how much time should you leave to catch a flight?
The recommended amount of time at the airport for Air Arran would be approximately 1 hour. Other airlines would recommend 2 hours, but again, that's dependent on where you're travelling to. If you're travelling to the United States, they sometimes recommend more than 2 hours, as you would have immigration and that to pass through as well.
The rules about flying can change, and they're also different for different airlines, so remember to check the airline's website before you fly.
And were you ever put off in the past travelling because of the difficulties with timetables and all of that?
Well, of course, Flora, you would be, because like you're not able to read it, you know, and then
they're very complicated.
Very complicated, and most of all is the clock, you know, because you have the AM and you have the PM, so you have to be aware of that as well.
That's something you found tricky,
and that was something that I found tricky, but we did it in class with our teacher, Isabel de Mont, and in my maths class we did the 24-hour clock, the digital clock. So like,
and was there a moment when you said, that's it, of course,
I can do it?
Yeah.
And the mobile phone, the AM and the PM to get you up in the morning.
Yes, of
you
course.
see, I was setting it to get me up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was going off at 7 o'clock at night. So
that's not much good, is it?
It's not good to me. So I mean, I was away, you know, I was way out of my league there. But
so timetables, nice. I suppose flight numbers would
be
important too.
Very, very important, and your check-in time. Yeah. And make sure you give yourself time.
Well, if timetables leave you in a flap, it's comforting to know that once you've mastered how to read one, they're pretty much all very similar after that. Take a look and see.
What time is the next bus? When does the film start? When does the last Luas leave? There are many reasons why we need to check timetables. We particularly need to keep a careful eye on them when we're travelling. You'll find several different timetables in airports. The arrival screen shows you all the flights that are due to arrive. The departure screen shows you all the flights which are due to leave the airport. But when you are catching a plane, the first one you need to find when you arrive at the airport is the check-in information. The columns in this timetable list the flight number, which you'll find on your ticket or confirmation, destination, which is where the plane is going to. Open at is the time the check-in desks open at, not the time your flight is leaving. And desks is the number of the check-in desk you need to go to. This type of timetable usually uses the 24-hour clock. So if the check-in desk is open at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this is written 13:00. We read the timetable by reading across the rows and down the columns. Each row gives you all the information about one particular flight. Every flight has a different number. The letters tell you the airline. If you want to find out where to check in for flight RE622, look for the row with the flight number and the column which gives you the desk number. So for this flight, you need to go to check-in desk 8 or 9. All timetables work the same way. Look for the row and the column which contain the information you need, and you'll soon be on your way.
If you'd like some handy exercises to do which will help you with timetables, there's a free student pack and workbook you can order free of charge by phoning the following number. To get your free workbook, you can free phone the number on your screen, 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can visit our website, that's www.rug.ie. Well, earlier we got a few tips on what to expect when you're going to the airport to catch a flight. But now that we know a little bit more about how to read timetables, let's get some more information.
Hi, hello, where are you travelling to today?
Travelling to Dublin.
Right, I'll just take your reference number or your photo identification.
When you check in for a flight at an airport, you'll be asked for certain documents. Depending on the airline, you might get to choose where you'd like to sit on the plane.
Okay, would you like a window seat or an aisle seat?
Window, please.
And have you any bags you'd like to check in?
Just the one.
Just one bag. If you can just pop it up in the belt
Sure.
for me, please.
They weigh your luggage to make sure it's not too heavy and ask some security questions.
Is this your bag?
It is.
Have you packed it yourself?
I have.
Are you carrying anything for anybody else?
No.
Has the bag been left unattended at any time?
No.
Have you any new electrical goods or recent?
There are also restrictions on hand baggage.
And have you hand baggage you'll be taking with you today?
I do.
Can I just see the hand baggage,
Sure.
please? You don't have anything sharp or dangerous or any liquids in it, do you?
No, not at all.
Okay, great, thank you. That's your passport and reference. This is your boarding card. The receipt of your bag is on the back here. Boarding will be upstairs at about 2:30, and the boarding gates are over to your right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
With some airlines these days, you don't have to go to a check-in desk. You can check in your own bags and print out your own boarding pass at a machine. You can then go straight to the departure gate. Remember that the departure gate and the boarding time sometimes change, so keep an eye on the information boards and listen out for announcements. You'll need to show your ID and boarding pass again when you go through security. And then, once you're on board, all you need to do is sit back and enjoy your flight.
Niamh, you work with people who've got Asperger's syndrome, isn't it? Is that,
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
it's pronounced
that's
properly?
Asperger's syndrome, yeah, that's who I'm working with at the moment.
Yeah, what is it?
Asperger's syndrome is kind of affects people's social skills. So it's impairment of social skills, whether it's empathy towards other people or social intuition.
How do you go about improving that for people?
So basically how we work is like within a drama context, you know, so I'm making puppets with 2 or 3 groups, you know, and the idea is to basically throw and put people into situations that aren't predictable, because often people with Asperger's syndrome would be nervous or not be comfortable in situations, new situations. They wouldn't know how to react in new situations, you know.
So this is a way that they can try it out.
So by improvising, by throwing them into, like, you know, we're working with puppets, so we're being creative, and then also improvising stories around that. So within that they have, you know, it's just basically put them into situations that they wouldn't normally be in, and then they get used to responding in those situations.
And is there good feedback from them? Is that something that's helping them?
Yeah, they really enjoy it. They're really, really enjoying it, which is fantastic. You know, like, I think on the fact that it's very hands-on as well. This particular course I'm running is very hands-on, so they go in and it's like we're making something different every week, and then we're coming up with stories the next week, and we're making a stage, or we're making the puppets, and lighting and sound, and you know, so every week is something different, you know, and it's a real hands-on approach. They're loving it. So
well, social skills is something that you have a lot of, and you love that social interaction, don't you?
Yes.
Tell us about the Right to Vote talk that you gave in City Hall.
We went to City Hall. It was done around the drama. It's called Standing at the Crossroads. It's a script. It's about a group of students. There was actually three students in total. Two of the students are in a cafe sitting down. The other student comes in as a waitress. So we're there having a coffee, but we're giving out about the government, we're giving out about the state of the roads, potholes, state of our education, lack of funding. So we're really, really giving out. It's a bad Monday morning. So the waitress overhears our discussion, and she said that, you know, there's an election coming up. And basically what it is that I didn't know that there was an election coming up. So I'm saying to her, what election? And she said, you know, there's an election coming up this year, and, you know,
you can do something
about it.
Instead of just giving out.
Yeah, just giving out. So it's the right for the person to vote. And if you have a learning difficulty, you will not go and vote.
Because actually filling it out is difficult.
You know, as I said before.
And even, do you find that finding out information about the candidates, that can be difficult too?
Because when you go in to vote, you know, it's private and confidential.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you're not going to ask someone, you know, will you help me? Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, you see a face, but we see faces every day of the year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean...
So were there times you didn't bother voting?
There was times I've never voted, and they might say that they would say this gentleman would get in only that he was out 2 votes, and I would have said I could have made a difference.
Right.
Or maybe another person could have made a difference. Well, I think to have a vote and to vote is very important. If you don't have a vote, you don't have a say. That's what I think.
Well said. Well, that's it, I'm afraid, for today. I'd like to thank both of our guests for joining us, to Anne Ryle and also to Niamh Geoghegan. In the next programme, we'll be finding out more about how to make learning fun, and we'll be learning all about iPods, MP3 players and digital music. In the meantime, though, here are the contact details again to get your free student workbook that goes with the series.
For your free student pack and workbook, free phone 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can go online and visit www.rug.ie or write to The Really Useful Guide to Words and Numbers, care of Nala, 76 Lower Gardner Street, Dublin 1.